Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo, and I am here for Frieren Season 2, Episode 3. I've had a pretty weird day. I spent most of this morning at the DMV, and this is the second time that I'm sitting down to record this because I just a couple minutes ago got to the end of the episode, and about 20 minutes into going through and discussing it, and I looked over, and I realized that the green bar that goes across when I speak wasn't going across. My OBS instance had the wrong microphone selected. I don't know why. Something changed when I restarted my computer last night. And so there's no audio for the entire thing. All of my voice not there. I've got video for it, which just looks like this, which is pretty much fucking useless to me, and no audio for it at all whatsoever, which sucks. Cause, like, this wasn't the most important episode of Frieren, but it was fun, and that commentary that happened in the moment can't be gotten back. I just can't get it back. It's gone. I could go through it and like try to piece out what I was saying in each moment, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll still post pips with me talking through it with no audio. I can't imagine that would be great. This is very sad. I figured what I should do is, at the very least, talk through the episode and my general thoughts on it so that there is an unbroken continuity of my thinking moving from this episode into the next one. And I think that's particularly important because this episode is sort of a setup for the next episode. I luckily didn't jump into watching the next episode immediately after, which I considered doing, just because I spent this morning at the DMV and I'm starting late and I wanted to get into things, and damn. I'm really sorry that the episode doesn't exist as a reaction, y'all. So let's go to the start of it and talk it through really quick, and I'll be kind of repeating myself for things that I've already said. I'll try to include thoughts that I had during the initial reaction as well. Usually I try not to repeat myself during the discussion as well as the reaction. But I'll try to include those so that you get a good idea of what my thoughts were as we were going through the episode. And that's the most that I can do for this, I think. I'm terribly sorry and really fucking sad. There's very little worse than putting like an hour into something and then realizing that it's worthless. But in a strange way, there's a piece of this episode that's actually about that. So at the very least, we can tie that together and talk it through and get some lessons out of the episode. So here's episode 3 of season 2 of Frieren, and we're just gonna go through it. Got our OP. I did notice something at the very end of the OP that I had missed or gotten wrong or gotten differently. When Frieren holds out the handful of petals, I had looked at like this frame and I've been like, well, are the white and yellow Fern and Stark? And then I realized that there's a purple one and a red one that drop down right at the end. And those are probably Fern and Stark, which means that the other 4 are the original party. Yeah? Yeah. That's cute. I was so excited for a Hot Springs episode, which I think is part of the idea of the start of this episode. There's so much excitement for this thing. We're looking forward to this particular thing, and then the letdown of not actually finding it. I thought that this opening frame with the butterfly and the light going across through the branches was really cool, and then the way that we snap from that side to Stark's actual a view of Stark doing this really anchors me in the location, makes me feel like it's real, makes me feel like I'm in his shoes or I'm there. It's cool that the area is warm because of the volcanic activity. Yay, we'll make it to the next village so soon. Are we there yet? And it's all dilapidated, it's all destroyed, things have changed. Stark's always friend to the children wherever he goes, which is great. It's a shame, huh? We find out about the hidden springs, and Frieren almost says, it's probably not worth it. After all, it's just a foot bath. But Stark interrupts. I think I'd like to visit that one. It's really not worth the trouble. After all, and he interrupts again. Let's go check it out. And she listens. which is going to be a trend in the episode. If you really want to go, let's do it. And then I really wanted to highlight, and already did highlight, this musical swell. We start with a single string, and then there's this broad sort of ambient swell to everything that leads us then into the sort of peaceful, kind of silly montage music that we get. I really like the way that feels. And then swells us into our montage. And at the montage, I want to note how colorful the whole episode is. If I don't think about it too much, it just feels like realism, right? But there's this deep pink in all of the forest and the yellow golden light, and then Frieren with her sort of LED flashbulb creating blues in the foreground, but the background goes into this sunset dappled pink and orange. Even here, where we're around the fire, the forest is this deep blue that goes back into the darkness behind, and the rocks and stones have these purpley tones to them. And then a little bit later, there will be, cliff sides of that same kind of deep purple against almost blown out whitish blue skies. Again, it feels all like realism, but then when you pay attention to it, there's a lot of clever color design going that makes it much more vibrant than realism. Day and night and day and night, you don't seem very excited. And Himmel wasn't satisfied until he searched every nook and cranny of an unusual place. There's something to that attitude from Himmel that seems really interesting, and I thought of a way to tie it in later in the episode, which I'll try to do again. Something about this attitude of like, no, we have to explore more. There's more to find. Something about it is a piece of what makes Himmel so great, isn't it? I think so. I can feel it in my gut. A troublesome monster. So we're going to talk about the troublesome monster a little bit. It's here. I think its introduction is really great from the sound and stuff. But then I want to note that, especially if we compare this to another big monster that we got in the previous season, the dragon sequence, this is in no way equivalent as like a Sakuga extravaganza or like a piece of the episode. It doesn't go above and beyond. It doesn't shatter expectations. And that can actually lead it to feeling like a disappointment if our expectations are elevated. And I think my expectation for Frieren is something like, if the opportunity to go above and beyond presents itself, go above and beyond. Kind of like Himmel. It's like, if there's something to find out here, we're gonna find it, and we're gonna put in the work to do it. Frieren Season 1 is like, if a character is going to spend 5 seconds on screen putting a jacket on, we're going to make that the most goddamn beautiful jacket putting on scene that has ever been put in animation. No holds barred. We're just gonna do it. And this scene is not like that, right? It just isn't a very impressive big monster. Lots of technical difficulties to make it happen. Big faces and crazy movement, and I really like this scene from afar. For some reason, it reminds me very much of the dragon from Sleeping Beauty, the Maleficent dragon. Maybe something else, too. I really like the way that it looks. And then it leaps down from the thing and starts charging us, and we do a lot of big, very far away scenes where I think it's a CG model, and we do a couple of really interesting scenes that are kind of animation tricks to sell the scale of it, one of which I very much like, and then it's over. We don't even really do any action shots from it. And I think if your expectation is that Frieren is guaranteed to go above and beyond for stuff like this, this could be disappointing. I don't find myself terribly disappointed in it because it's not like a big emotional buildup, the thing that Stark is overcoming. It's just an obstacle in their way. It's just a part of the montage, a part of the journey, right? It's like running away from the big venom dragon inside the cave. It's just another step. It's barely a thing. And that kind of indicates how powerful our characters are, which is really cool. But I'm not disappointed in it. I do wish that there was more effort put into it, more taking the opportunity to go above and beyond, because that's what has made Frieren so great, yeah? Or one of the things that has made Frieren so great is doing more when you don't have to. And here we have a situation where they don't have to do more, and I don't think they did. You know, it ends up being fine, passable, totally acceptable sequence, and one with one very cool scene in it, I think. And that's okay. I'm not trying to do apologetics for Frieren here or be like, it's totally fine. If you don't like it or if it feels disappointing to you, what I'm trying to say is like, I get that, but I don't feel that way just because it's a different circumstance. It's a different piece of animation for a different purpose. If this was the Stark overcoming the dragon scene and it looked like this, it'd be kind of mid. But because it's not that, that's not what this scene is. It's kind of more than anything like a joke for how we're going to use Stark as bait. It's perfectly acceptable. Okay, so the next scene right after this is the sort of GoPro scene. That's what I'm calling it, because it feels like we are a GoPro mounted right on top of this dragon's bike helmet. Right there. We move along with the heads. They shift, we shift, they shift, we shift, and then we sort of whoosh and accelerate in vroom. I don't know exactly whether we're using 3D camera against this plain background, flat plane of a background, or if it's just the animator locking the dragon heads to their point of reference and then placing a background behind it afterward. I don't really know, but something about that I think is really cool looking. Just suddenly this big sense of scale, and in that one instance, I'm sold on the scale of this big lizard monster better than it flailing on top of the building or leaping down in big dust clouds. None of that sells it as well, mostly because it's like it's a little CG model here, doing little jumps and stuff. It's kind of weightless. And then there's this moment, and it's weighty and it has scale. I really like it. Another parallel to the dragon sequence is this scene of Stark running. He sort of jumps, falls, and he's running. This angle is the same angle that we shoot him from as he does this long curved arc around the dragon. He does this running scene. He's got the axe in his hand and he's sort of very upright in the scene. Do you remember it? Except that we pull away from him. We've got all of him moving all at once, and then we're sweeping the camera around him in this big, broad, very impressive sequence. Here, same angle for the most part, same shot, same situation, big monster, little Stark running. But we don't need to do any big sweepy camera movement. We don't do any of that extra because we don't need to. It's just enough. Yeah? But if we continue just doing enough, Frieren's going to lose some of its magic. So I hope that we do more. I hope that we do more. He's a big boy. And then we sort of skip through it. He's bait. He's bait. And we're done. And they make it. Finally here. Was it worth it? And I think at this point, the journey to this little hidden hot spring becomes what I called it at the end of the episode as I sort of realized what it was, is it's a perfect microcosm for the phrase, it's about the journey, not about the destination. Something that we say all the time, but like, what does it really mean? Who cares about the journey? Here, we're following in Ison's footsteps to go to a place, and we're doing it because of what he said about the memories of it. Not the actual place itself, not the successful completion of their quest or reaching of their location, but about the crazy adventures that he went on with his friends and how he wouldn't give those memories up for anything. What's the goal? What are we setting out to do? If the goal is to experience a big, deep, hot spring, then this has all been a huge waste of time. We've wasted days of extra travel on the road to get to a place that's worse, that's not as good as what we actually wanted. Sucks. Why would that matter? But if the point of it was to spend time doing something with somebody else who matters to you, and to experience a journey with them, to experience the joy or failure of reaching the end of that journey with them, then we have succeeded wildly. Because here we are, experiencing this thing with them, having gone through the hardships together with them, experiencing free Frieren feet with them, enjoying it all together. What could be better than that? This is a nice view. It was just a footbath, not worth the effort at all, a ridiculous adventure. However, I wouldn't trade my memories of those ridiculous adventures with my friends for anything. What do you value? What's the point of it? Is the point of going to that hot spring up in the mountains to get to the hot spring up in the mountains, or to journey there with your friends and experience it with your friends? And then I think there's a place where we can fold this into the second half, and this only occurred to me moments before I realized that my microphone wasn't recording. When you go on a date with somebody, is the goal of that date to eat dinner and watch a movie? Is it to have gone on a walk at a location? Is it to buy a trinket from a street vendor? To eat yummy food? None of those things are the goal of a date. None of those things are the goal of many of our social interactions. The goal is the social interaction. The goal is the time spent. You don't have to acquire a thing from one of those trinket sellers to make it a successful date. You don't even have to eat a food, although you might want to. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to do something together, and it's the togetherness that matters. And this is something that Frieren actually says a little bit later in the episode, and I think it's true. I think it's true. The best dates that I've been on have been walking, wandering places, experiencing things together, not goal-oriented, going to something and doing it. Although sometimes that can be an experience too, but the thing that I get out of it is very rarely the experience, the particular thing, the goal, the accomplishment. The point is the time spent. Like, that thing is an excuse to spend time journeying with somebody that you're interested in. That thing is an excuse. It's not the point. Stark really registered this. He really internalized it. I'll never forget that view, and now, time having changed, it's almost as though the mountain has gotten taller, but maybe it's eroded down into it a little bit further. I'm not sure. Either way, here we are. You knew it wasn't going to be spectacular, and yet you still wanted to come. I wanted to see the same view. That's another thing. To do this journey with people, but also to follow through with somebody else's path, yeah? To follow in their footsteps and experience the same things that had meaning to you because they were just stories. This shot of Stark is so beautiful, with a little white highlight on his lips and his wide open eyes. You can tell he's just here. He's just 100% here in this moment, totally content with being here, with no, gosh, I wish it was a bigger, better hot springs. It doesn't matter. He's here. Note colors again. Just what a landscape, right? And then one final joke. Is it really worth it? It hurts. Yeah, I don't know. It's up to you to decide. Gosh, we're gonna have some goofy Frieren moments in this portion. And here we are at the hot springs town, and it's everything we could have wanted it to be. But it's meaningless to us. It wasn't a particular special ridiculous adventure to go and do it. On that note about ridiculous adventures, do you think that that's what Himmel is doing consciously when he does those no, we're going to search every nook and cranny of this unfamiliar place? Is he doing that in order to spend more time and have more adventures and more memories with his friends? There are a few things that Himmel has done, partly like his statue making and the way that he says that he does that so that Frieren won't be alone in the future. I wonder how conscious he is of this sort of idea of journey over destination. Thanks, Sanderson, of Journey Before Destination. I wonder how conscious he is of that and how much intention he puts into making them have more journeys together, more side quests and stuff that seem like they're time wastes, but they cement the party's dynamic and cement the team. I just wonder if Himmel is doing that intentionally in any way. Here he is watching over this place, one of those statues he built. So we've got 2 days. attention. Maybe I'll visit a weapon shop. Yes, but then I'll have nothing to do. Well, she's always mean. I'll get her back. Pay attention to me. So inconsiderate. She asked for it. I guess I'm gonna show her up. Time for some payback. Ha. Let's go on a date. Full shock. Book dropped. Does not beat him up. Just says yes. Holy shit. And now Stark has a yes that he doesn't know what to do with. This is the goofiest Frieren face that we've ever had. I can't think of a goofier one. Do you know of a goofier one? And then he asks her for help. You sure you know who you're asking? Have you lost your mind? But she's actually the right person to ask, right? She, out of everyone here, knows Fern by far the best. And she sort of denies it. She puts all of that praise onto Heiter, saying, no, he was the real one with like a real capacity. The way I'm reading it is as though what Frieren can do is just repeat what she's learned from Heiter. But Heiter had an actual ability to have insight into Fern, to actually see it. And Frieren doesn't feel like she can. But I think we've demonstrated over time that she does have the ability to have some insight into Fern. There are a couple things that events of the last season kind of fly in the face of. Like, she did get something important for Fern, the hairpin. And we saw how important that was to Fern just a little while ago in the first episode of this season, yeah? She does remember and care about all of these things that make Fern tick. And what I'm reminded of is the flip side or second clause or corollary of the Dunning-Kruger effect. We talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect a lot when people who are incompetent at something overestimate their competence at it. So like people who have no business being an expert in something will very often overestimate their capacity at it, primarily because they don't understand all there is to understand about it. Whereas people who are genuinely experts in a field will very often discount their expertise because they know enough to know how little they know. Like, the leading theorists in the field of quantum physics right now will probably start most statements they make about the nature of reality with like, well, more experimentation needs to be done to validate any of these hypotheses, or other qualifying sorts of statements that are like, I don't really understand the whole of the thing, says the person who understands it best in the entire world. But there's a humility that comes with that level of comprehension that paradoxically causes those people to view themselves as less of experts. And I think there's something like that going on with Frieren. She's viewed herself as not capable of this thing for so long, and rightly so, that when she does demonstrate some serious capability in it, she continues to devalue her opinions and be like, but I don't really understand these things actually, after demonstrating fairly strong understanding of them. Like, I think she is much more insightful toward humans and has grown so over just the last couple of episodes than she believes. And I think that's really interesting. She seems like her estimation of self on that front is still locked back a few years, still locked back to the person that she was at the grave, realizing she didn't know her friends. Ha ha, you've grown into a fine man. Yeah, if you asked me for a date. Oh, don't call her a grandma, though. Yeah, apparently crazy tantrum situation? What happened that caused this tantrum, I wonder? I don't know. It's crazy. Actually, never mind, I shouldn't have asked. Well, I can probably find somewhere. Cranky when she's hungry, always loved snacking, pretty items on display, different moods, dessert shops, plazas and views. Seriously, you know her really well. I'm really impressed. No, I don't know anything. Heiter was the impressive one. All I could do was listen and memorize, and yet he responds, but you did remember, right? You could have just not paid attention to those things. Ultimately, I failed to discover anything she liked. There you go, but that's not true, right? The hairpin alone is something that she cares about. And there are a bunch more things throughout the episodes. But you remember all of that. I think you're a good parent to her. I agree. And she thinks of celebrating her birthday, which is a time when they did connect, you know? Hey, you say nice things sometimes. One offense struck. Coming to her for advice as well. You have? Yeah, with Himmel, seeking a lost cat. Oh, that's not a date. I don't think you can call that a date. Listen, Fern, when two close friends of opposing sex go out with each other and nobody else, that's a date. Deito da. That's what my master said. Thank you, Flame. Laying it out simply for us. But she's got it wrong. So Fern lays down to sleep and is unable to for a while. That's the end of our episode. Got some interesting stuff in the text at the end. Powerful monsters, things that don't seem date-like, and then things that do. So where are we going? You're not wearing your usual clothes. You must be the first-class mage Fern. So we're gonna run into people who recognize her as a first-class mage. That sure is interesting. And I want to protect other people's homes too. Sounds like a very poignant line, one that might fold into Himmel's understanding of everything. I'm curious what that's going to mean, and I'm really excited to get to talk about it next time when I will make sure that my microphone works before I start fucking recording. Sorry for the disappointing episode. I know that I said that I would try to fold it in. It's like, yeah, this is an adventure that we're going through this episode and talking through it twice, but it doesn't feel like it fits, does it? This just feels like a mistake and one that I have to deal with. So be it. Sorry, everybody. Thanks for bearing with me as I do my best to give you my thoughts on the episode at the very least. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it there. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next week for the very next episode of Frieren. I hope you enjoyed this little run through as it is. It is what it is. And I'll see you next time for more. Much love. Peace.